On this week's episode of the Late to Grid podcast, I interview Mike Manikis, who is a tire engineer with Nexen Tire. So guess what we talk about? Yes, tires. Mike shares some great stories about his journey into motorsports. And believe it or not, his first car on track was a Panos. That's pretty cool. His advice? Just get out and autocross. And he loves the people of our sport. Well, let's not waste any more time. We're going to throw the green flag on this episode. Mike, thanks for being here.
All right, I appreciate the invite.
So like many of my guests, we met at Nelson Ledges, probably attended a lot of events together at Nelson, saw each other, and finally you came over after drivers meeting, said hello, introduced yourself, and I'm so glad you did because you have such an awesome journey that this could probably be a 7 or 8 hour episode. And
it probably really could.
Yeah.
I don't think you want that.
I didn't get the studio for that long, so
Yeah.
we'll get as far as we can. But no, seriously, thanks for being here, willing to share your journey. And I do like to talk about how folks got involved in motorsports. And it was your dad and a guy named Tommy Morrison.
Yes.
So what was your father's influence on motorsports and racing?
So my dad lived in Florida, and him and his high school buddies started going to Sebring for spring break. And it turned into this thing. A bunch of really cool people. They had a place down on the hairpin called, and they called themselves the Dead End Gang. So they flew the upside down skull and crossbones. So as a little kid, probably 7, 8 years old, I would ride down and hang out with probably some of the coolest people that you could imagine. And just was able to experience racing in a different way. I don't know about, my mom would probably freak out, but climbing tall scaffolding.
Oh my.
I don't know. Campfires, good food. But then I noticed these things running around track that just fascinated me. Red glowing brakes, 935s, shooting flames out of the back. When they exit the hairpin, it's just so vivid. Turbos glowing underneath the cars with that pop in between shifting, and not really understanding what was happening, but just knew that it stirred me as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then fast forward a few years, and parents got divorced and ended up moving from Land Lakes up to Albany, Georgia. And my mom went to work for Tommy Morrison, and he was Tommy Morrison was Morrison Cook Racing, so Jim Cook. And I kind of became the little satellite shop kid, long hair. Looked at myself as feral back then. I used to ride my bike pretty long way up there to the dealership and just hang out with the guys, get them tools when they needed, whatever they needed.
Yeah. Was it just a job for your mom? There was a right job, right time, or did she want to be around cars?
No, it was just job for mom, and turned out, he had a car dealership, and then he has this race team, and man, did I have no idea who I was hanging out with. Skipped school one year and went to Sebring, and was down there
with the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Down there with Bobby Carradine, was racing with him. I think it was Bobby. Bobby Carradine, lead Revenge of the Nerds. Spent the week with him. He's really funny in real life. So is the whole team. So I just cleaned up the cars when they came in from qualifying and practices. My mom wouldn't let me go into the hot pits. Imagine that. So the guys built me a scaffold on the backstretch. So I had my own scaffold, just high enough to see over the fence. So, I knew when the cars were coming in, and I'd kind of meander my way back over there. But no, it was infectious. And these are Corvettes. So this is, my dad had Corvettes when I was growing up, and then there I am with Tommy.
Yeah.
Not really understanding the impact he was having with GM. He wasn't supposed to be racing then. But he's why Mobile One right now is with GM Cadillac to this day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I love about that is you said yes to some opportunities. It maybe barged your way into the shop and said, "Hey, I'm here to help. Just put me to work." But you had the opportunity to miss school and and get down there and just, get exposed to things. And that's one of the things I do like to talk about is in our sport, we get a lot of opportunities. And if we say no to them, you might be on the outside looking in, but when you say yes, you figure it out, right? You learn, and, you probably started wiping the cars down. You probably started doing a little bit more and doing a little bit more. Did you end up doing anything else with the team?
No. It's I hit those early teenage years. Tommy's telling me to cut my hair, take school more serious, and you want to listen. So I'd say the art of listening at that age, we don't listen too well. And I was into, going to concerts and thinking I was this or that, and girls, right? So you think you're just a kid. So looking back, there could have been other opportunities.
Well, you had told me that you wish you had listened to him.
Yes,
and I think you're in a pretty cool spot now.
I am.
But if you listened to him, where would you be?
I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the guys designing the cars that are out there running and breaking records. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, it's all part of the journey. Say no one thing, says yes to another. So
correct.
Maybe you're in a better spot now.
Probably.
What was your first car?
71 Volkswagen Bug.
Really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a 69 Camaro with a built motor. My mom said, absolutely not. He'll kill himself. Well, instead, let's put him in a tin can.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That can't get out of its own way.
It could.
Yeah.
We put a built motor in it.
Oh, there you go.
Side draft carb. So it would move. Yeah.
Did you do anything fun with that car? Drag race?
I did.
Yeah?
I ended up moving to Hilton Head, South Carolina in 10th grade, I think it was. Again, you're going from Albany, Georgia to the beach. So it's like not caring about school to you're an outsider if a college isn't talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I did go to vocational school. Met some really, really, really cool people, and a few of them are friends today still. But there was this one kid who kept harassing me about my Volkswagen, and he had a lowered truck and this and that. And finally one day I said, okay, let's go race. So we went, and a friend of ours went down, marked everything off. So when we pulled up, they just dropped their arms, and he wasn't going to beat me. So I burned up the clutch. But it was a no-lift shift. I never even knew how to do that, but I was doing it. Limped it down to Tampa that summer and took it to Fisher Buggies, and after a stern talking to from my dad, put a pretty heavy-duty clutch in it. So, yeah, it got out of the way of itself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you won the race.
Absolutely embarrassed him. Yeah.
Yeah. But he changed.
Yeah. The other thing with that car, though, was I drove it coast to coast. So I drove every bit of I-10 from well, you pick it up in Savannah, I think, maybe. All the way out to Malibu. Good friend of mine that I'm still friends with today. Rode out there, and we were always looking at Surfer Magazine and Hot VWs, right? So, it was a heck of a journey. Yeah.
So your first on track was about 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And not in a Volkswagen Beetle, not in a Miata. No. It was a tube frame Panos, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went to...
How'd that come about?
Well, I got this great job at Pirelli Tire. And when I interviewed for the job, the plant manager asked me what I saw myself doing in 5 years. And so I don't know if it's a thing, but test driving maybe, or racing. And he's like, hey, he was English. He said, I had a mate that did that. Jobs come open, and this is a family-owned company, and we just want the best of the best in positions. So, that's achievable. So it stuck with me. And as we got the factory up and running, and, an opportunity came up, or I could see an opportunity coming up, and I just wanted to know if I had what it took to drive a car.
Yeah.
Great, I went drag raced one time, but I'd never heel-toe shift. I've never... just never done anything about it. So, but we can all talk a big game, but what happens when you get out there?
Mm-hmm.
So I did a 3-day school, and the second day, I was getting things down pat. I was getting really comfortable. We were getting away from the lead follows, and we were at lunch, and then I heard, hey, there's another guy from Pirelli here, and I went, oh no, because I didn't tell anybody. So I saved all my money up and convinced my wife at the time that, hey, this is like college. If this works, I mean, it's a career path.
Mm-hmm.
And I was comfortable, but I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. And lo and behold, I turn around and it's a, senior engineer there and then a crazy Italian comes over. What are you doing here? He says, oh, what you doing here? And I told him, I said, well, I want to test drive, but same thing I just said to you, so we can all talk a big game, but what happens when you're behind the wheel? Are you comfortable? Is it something you can do? Are you nervous? Of course we're nervous, but it's a different kind of nervous. So he turns around and says, I want to get in a car with him. I'm like, yeah, we don't really do that. And Joe Foster, we became friends later in life also, said, yeah, we do. Because Pirelli sponsored the track and the school. So jumped in the car, second lap, he says, go, have fun. And came in on the third or fourth lap while everybody else was having lunch. Walk upstairs, he said, okay, you're a test driver. I'm like, what? And you can't make it up. But
really?
Yeah, that's how it happened. It took time because the position I held in the factory, it took some time to get somebody up to speed. But I went over and had to learn indoor testing. And the reward was to get ahead. And if I was ahead, I could go out and train with him while he's doing testing.
Mm-hmm. What is indoor tire testing?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You said we only have an hour.
Yeah.
No, so it's all the static testing we do. So like when you get an OE project, for instance, they'll give you certain spring rates. So they give you a tire that they want you to emulate. And they like the attributes of said tire by rolling resistance, maybe.
Okay.
Endurance, high speed. It just depends on so many other factors. But so I started doing static testing, which is footprints, spring rates, calculations at different loads and pressures, right? And then rolling resistance, that's their calculations for gas mileage, right? Mm-hmm. But in between all that, we've got outdoor, wear testing, tread wear testing. So we have this machine that scans treads, send them out for testing, and they come back and we scan them again, and it gives you your projections, which is your 200 UTQG, right?
Okay.
So this is all the stuff that I was getting loaded with. So not only did I understand building tires and understood compounding tires, because we had to test all the compounds, now I start understanding the indoor stuff. And then you put yourself in this perfect scenario with good engineers, and you start learning, feeling, cars, explanation, this is that, this is this. And I'm like, hey, we can fix that with a belt angle change.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know this? I'm like, well, I was raised out there on the factory, right? So just made this, it was this perfect sequence of events that, you really can't make it up.
Wow. All right. I never thought about that type of, thought that goes into the, hey, we're going to put this model out and this is what we need a tire to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in Rome, Georgia, of all places. Again, we end up back in Georgia, and Tommy the first time, and you're with this now, a legend at this time. Now you're with Pirelli, in my mind, one of the best manufacturers at the time. I didn't know anything about tires other than Sebring, and who always kind of won down there, or who was on the coolest cars, we'll say, was Pirelli. So I had the association as a young kid, and what Pirelli stood for was just the best of the best, right?
Uh-huh.
So and here they are in Rome, Georgia, and now I'm driving prototypes, and they're, it's just looking back, I wish I had this book, that I could have just jotted everything down, because it's just impossible to frame it.
Yeah.
But, you're driving the new Mustang that's coming out, and police pull you over to check the car out, and the new Camaro, when it came out, we got the car straight from Australia before GM did. Didn't really go over too well with those guys, but
yeah,
it was a Holden cut in half, right-hand drive, all Frankenstein out, plexiglass windows. And there I am at Road Atlanta driving this car, and I'm thinking, what the world is happening to me?
You pinch yourself.
Yeah, looking back, it was great.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So you did the Pano school,
Mhm.
and when did you get on track again after that?
Well, pretty much.
Well, aside from work.
So there was, because we had the track, we did a lot of testing.
All right.
So at the time, we took on ProDrive, the Aston Martins, to go head-to-head against Corvette and GM. There's another whole story there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty cool one. And then we had prototypes running. So we were in LMP2, and those were tire war days, wasn't spec tires. So I was able to get out on track, maybe with unofficially some of the other people, but we'll leave that there.
Okay. Yeah. No kidding.
But
talk about getting seat time.
Yeah. How do you put a price on that, right?
Right.
You can't. There's no way to. Yeah. Mm-mm.
So I'm gonna bounce around a little bit because I just made a mental note. I'm gonna follow you wherever you're doing a track day or something, because then I'm gonna come over and bug you and say, okay, here's what my car's doing. What do I need to do tire wise, suspension wise, all this other stuff.
If I have my parameter, and this is not a joke, if I have my parameter, it's this Alfano right here. If you see that, or I usually do have it, I can come over and just take some temperatures and pretty much look at the tires and tell you exactly what to do. Yeah, that's what I did. If you fast forward over to Hankook, that's what I ended up doing for Radical Cup and FR Americas and F4, and then some GT races. Yeah.
And you have some autocross in your background, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Walk us through that. What was there an invitation? What made you decide to go do that?
I actually did it a couple times when I was in Georgia with the Porsche Club of America instructor down at Atlanta Stadium, the big blue wall in the parking lot. And some kind of magic happened there, so I'm doing all this test driving and I'm in this car and, I'm thinking I'm a track snob, and you go out there and it's like, wait a minute, I can only walk this course? Now you're kind of teasing yourself a little, because now you have to put this puzzle together at a rate. And that's pretty incredible. So I did it a few times down there and then never really got back in the seat. I think I printed off some stuff, but it was like 21.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was Dragway 42.
Yep.
I had a stock WRX, went out there and just started driving. And through that's how I met some of these people. I think call you out, Chip Manuel. He helped me out a lot. He could tell I was completely lost. I don't care how much you know about things, right? But you're still lost, right?
Yes.
So then I just jumped in this stream of people. That was just amazing.
Yeah, Chip's great. Very helpful. Very, very smart guy.
Super smart guy. And I don't know why he likes me at all. He's a wonderful guy, but he really kind of, him and some other folks kind of just put me under the wing a little bit, and I just followed him around. He'd tell me to go here or go there, and started going over to pit race, and that was humbling. My car was my little WRX that could. I was in DS.
Okay.
And I'd go over to pit race, and I think there were 7 Type Rs. And I'm like, this is not going to go well.
Right. That's fast. They usually set fast courses there.
Fast courses, and again, being naive, you don't know who you're around. And I think, sitting here now in front of you and understanding what's going on over there, there's some magic going on with that group between there and Toledo. And these guys are fast. There's all these national champions.
Yeah.
You're like, how does this happen in this spot? And that's kind of what started happening for me. I had some people, Brad Thompson, let me ride with him in a car, and we did some co-driving together. Anthony, he was a WRX guy, and faster cars, they were modified, riding with them, learning. Looking back, it was insane. So that following year, this is the first year, 21, 22 maybe, I got a rear bar on the car and some, I think it was RE71s, and kind of started progressing a little bit. And then out of nowhere, this unique fella, Alex Peel, shows up, jumps in a car with me. and the guy's magic behind the wheel. With him and Chip and everybody and trying to jump in all these different cars, it was the acceleration of learning because of my background. I think was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you worked in there a few different ways to learn.
Yeah.
People was one. What do you think helped you learn the most to get quicker around an autocross course?
The driver mods between the ears, you got to kind of let go. So that goes back to test driving. At the track, it's one thing to kind of let go, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's breaking points, there's apexes, you know what I mean? It's only so fast you can go in through a turn. It's only so fast you can get out of that turn. I don't care what you're driving. You may get there quicker or whatever, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
Well, with autocross, you break rules. You are driving ahead of the car, but you're more... What I learned was more of the angle of the car, approaching slaloms, the car position. It's probably more important than anything.
Yeah.
But then understanding the balance of whatever it is you're driving. And if you're going through a fast slalom and put the car at 1.1 on this side, you want 1.1 on the other side. And in between those gates, you're modulating throttle or doing whatever it takes to keep your angles.
Yeah.
You're breaking rules.
Have you ever gone out on track with an autocrosser and they're in the driver's seat?
You mean a racetrack?
A racetrack.
A racetrack. And their first time on a...
Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah. Mm. It's an experience. I did that, and I'm like, what is this person doing? Because they're, in the points you make, they're approaching turns and apexes and turn-in points and exits a lot differently on an autocross course than you are on a road track, a road course. And I think about that all the time. I had a headache when I got out of the car. You're jerking around and oh my gosh, eventually you'll get it, buddy, but smooth it out.
Yep. Smooth is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you could still be smooth in autocross and still be fast.
Do you still autocross today?
I do. Yeah. I think if there was something looking back, it's very hard to undo. Once you're a track guy or whatever, it's very hard to undo those disciplines to go to autocross. But I think when you're autocrossing, you're learning at such a rate. You're so far ahead of your car. You're so in tune with what's going on. The rate at which you're working at is much higher. Yeah. So I think when you get to a track, it's almost relaxing. And talking to Nick Luther, I was telling him that, and he's like, man, please get that out to people. Because the track stuff does come easier once you've autocrossed. Because if you're throwing around a Corvette at 65, 70 miles an hour in a parking lot and, you go out to Nelson's Ledges, you're at limit, you're on the edge, but it's relaxing.
Right.
It's not as intense. It's very intense. Autocrossing is very intense, depending on no matter what you're driving, I think.
Oh, yeah. The rate you talk about, having to learn a new course every time you go out, a lot different than going to the same track every weekend.
Well, you go out there and then you're working first.
This is true.
Pull up to the line, and I've had somebody ride with me, and they're like, this course? I'm like, I think so. By the time they say, what do you mean? You've dropped the clutch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you figure it out. So, I think I remember.
And you do it in the C4? Or what do you take?
No. So I made the jump from a WRX to a C5.
Oh, all right.
A friend of mine saw me progressing through the WRX, and his name's Scott. He's SAF Racing. Wonderful individual. To this day, I question why he gave me this opportunity, but I'm so thankful for it because it helped me grow. You really have to grow when you get into the Cam S segments and love all the other segments. The cars in a lot of other classes are faster, but driving one of those cars, man, when it's right, it's special, and don't always get it right, so it's difficult. But when you let go and let things happen, let the car go where it wants to go, versus trying to fight the car. On the lower classes, you're kind of fighting the car a little bit to stay and shorten the course. And once again, very fortunate to get in with the right people to help me look at courses different in one of those.
Yeah.
You're backsiding wall cones. You're not worried about, that cone right there. You're outside, and I don't know if I can say this, but this guy named Danny Pop told me if you're not on the gas, you're losing your ass. The other thing he told me is you're not driving a cam car if you don't see corner workers backing up. So,
wow,
that's true. That's very true, and that started happening later. But yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yeah. What's the rest of the season look like for autocross for you?
I haven't done any this year.
Okay.
I'm missing it, but I'm doing a lot of other neat things. So, that fulfillment's still there.
Right.
So, yeah.
So let's talk about what you're doing this season. What kind of events have you been attending and participating in?
Yeah, this season really looked like I wasn't really going to be doing much. And then if we back the story up to the Nexen thing, this Corvette comes into my life from, out of hibernation. And I did a deal with Nexen and said, hey, let's do this like Hart does, like Honda.
Mm-hmm.
Let me work on it at lunch, before work, at lunch, or after work, or during the weekend. I'll just let you know when I'm here. And, that's how it started happening. So I think what people started noticing, and, you never know what kind of impacts you're making on people, first off, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be there to outshine anybody or anything. It's to do this stuff we do. In motorsports, you have to be glutton for some sort of punishment. And, some of that's time. And when you're learning a new car and bringing something in, there's a lot of things you got to fix. A lot of things you have to know, so you start this relationship with this car.
Yeah.
So I started doing that.
Is that the C5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. An amazing car. Have you seen that? I'm sure you had.
I don't
Blue
know.
with red wheels. You can't miss it.
I don't know that I've seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, I bet it is.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I think everybody has a C5 except me.
Probably.
It's a very popular platform.
Yeah, I got a C4 now. And it's the same year I went with Tommy to Sebring, which is 86.
Nice.
So that car kind of popped up from Scott, and
Mm-hmm.
pointed me in the direction, and he said, go take a look at this thing. I think you can make it nice. And it needs love, but,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do, right?
Yes. And does that see track time?
No.
Just daily driving.
Just driving it, getting her reliable. But where I was leading to was an opportunity came up to maybe work on the next generation of Sport R, and that's what this season turned into.
Mm-hmm.
So we did kind of a mini one lap of America.
Really?
We went and got an Elantra in, and we picked a size that we're changing the construction of this tire so that we can hit more volume with it. But we didn't want this tire to change. It's and I'm not saying it just because I'm at Nexen, but it's a really good, consistent tire. And my experience in racing, you don't want to change it so much if you got something good that's, reliable, has long life, this, that, and the other. So here comes this opportunity to get an Elantra in. And we hit the ground running with that. Me and another great person, Jeremiah, joined our group, vehicle dynamics engineer from Stellantis. A lot of tire modeling experience. He's pretty great guy. And he kind of backed me into this C5 because I was at a stopping point. I wasn't driving it that quick. And anybody who knows me knows that there was more time in that car. It was just letting go. But Jeremiah showed me data. We looked at data. And I went to a pro solo, and it happened, right? That magic happens, and you let go, and something special happens. But that all led to this development cycle. And I find myself doing Memorial Day weekend, 2 days at pit race. Sunday night, we drove straight to Mid-Ohio, and we did 2 days at Mid-Ohio. Back to Ridgefield. These are on the same sets, by the way.
Yeah.
And we go back to Ridgefield, kind of reload, new tires and wheels, and head on down to VIR. And I did 2 days there. But I didn't have experience at Mid-Ohio, and I didn't have experience at VIR. and we were running with Chin track days. And because of both of our backgrounds, they really kind of helped us more than they should have, really. That's what a group of people that is. See, so again, what you're hearing is all these relationships. It takes a village. Mm-hmm. None of this stuff happens for anybody overnight. Like, pretty much nobody I know, you're grinding it out.
Right.
You're working on your own stuff. You're
doing a lot of guessing and learning as you go.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of missed targets. So that's what happened there. And then from that, I ended up getting invited out to Nelson's Ledges and jumped into a BMW. I didn't drive that car until I left the pits, by the way. And, with race boots on, I couldn't really reach the pedals. And so my first lap or two, I was loosening belt, trying to get situated, but quickly kind of got my bearings. But what an opportunity that was. And managed to keep third place, I think, overall, and then first in class. So that was a good adventure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice work.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
One thing you mentioned is all these different cars you're jumping in and out of, different tracks. People have told me, I get comfortable with my car. I can't jump into another car. So what advice would you have for someone that is lucky enough to get the opportunity to jump in a couple different cars? How do you learn? How do you adapt?
How do you process that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we back into the Pirelli, remember all the feeling stuff, right? It's I always tell people, the car is great, right? But you're not really driving the limit of the car. You're driving the limit of a tire.
Mm.
So I think really quickly you got to kind of figure out what the power is on the car, which relates to how much steering input you're going to have. When do you pick up throttle? How much brakes does the car have? Is it a momentum car? Are you able to carry more roll speed in? Is this a crazy fast car that you got to slow up a lot? And as you're unwinding the wheel, kind of connect I call it like a high horsepower rear wheel drive. The guys at Panos always told me you're connected to that throttle. So if you have steering input, you're lifting your foot. It's almost like a dimmer switch. As you're uncranking that wheel, you're laying into that throttle.
Relational.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But you can apply that across the board, whether it's front wheel drive, high power, or all wheel drive. If you start with those basics, you'll start learning the car really, really quickly.
Man, guys like you in our sport really impress me. And then I get jealous. I'm like, I'll go out and be like, I guess the tires are okay. Do I leave them where they are? Do I change them? Do I make my suspension stiffer? I mean, all this stuff that you got is amazing. And we're lucky to, hear your story and have you at the track to share it sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you. But again, it just goes back to, having opportunities to pick up nuggets from all these different engineers. Everybody has a different style. Even in development cycles, each one of the engineers do things differently. So you just have to, from that right seat, pick that up, mimic that, hide something that you don't want to show, but while mimicking. So it's almost like being a ventriloquist, I guess. Or I probably didn't say that right. It's a big word.
Yeah, no, that sounded great. Mm-hmm. So I know you recently did some wheel-to-wheel racing. We talked about test days, we talked about wheel-to-wheel, we talked about autocross. Where's your heart lie with all that? If you had to do one discipline going forward, what would it be all the time?
Endurance racing.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I know this, and I'm okay with this statement, is I'm not the rabbit. I'm the guy that you want to put in because this is what they taught me in testing. Is you're driving a prototype car, it's one of one, and there's millions of dollars in it. If we break it,
you broke the only one.
We broke the only one, and you're not getting a part. Also, it's that relationship with the OE. So the test driver says, if I break it, I'm doing my job. If you break it, you're an idiot. So learn how to drive. Again, you're not driving the car to its limit. Mm-hmm. You have to have brakes at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So it's just this perfect scenario to make an endurance racer. I think I would be your you're mid-stint kind of guy. You tell me to run a 216, I'll run 216s. You tell me to pick up the pace, we can pick up the pace.
Yeah.
But when I give the car back, it's going to have brakes, and you're probably going to have gas, and you'll definitely have some tire left.
Man, we got to get you racing with radar.
That'd be cool.
Got to get you in the neons.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Help us get those things dialed in.
I don't know. You guys do pretty good out there. You've got some pretty good drivers.
We do. We are lucky. Yeah, we've got some good drivers. But to your point, and I was reading something this morning, and this is very basic for endurance racing. Oh, I did. It might have been in one of the AI tools. I just wanted to start to maybe learn some more strategy for 24-hour events. And the initial feedback I got from my query was, it was basically, you have to finish the event.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes folks don't understand that, because I want to go out and set the fastest time for my team. I want to, that red Civic's really bothering me, man. I want to run him down or her down and get past them. Or, I see these F1 drivers bouncing off curbs, and I want to bounce off curbs because we have them at this track. And that's not what endurance racing is. Mm-mm. But it is a lot of fun. I could see why you like it. And there's no bigger bang for the buck.
No, there's not. And that's an argument that, that I hear really is autocross, right? So you got all this time. The Corvette I do haul. I'm very fortunate with SAF to also have a truck and a trailer available. But there's a lot of work there. So just to get to Toledo.
Yeah.
Like if I want to go to Toledo Saturday, that starts Thursday.
Yes.
And
time is a precious commodity.
It is. And then you're up at 4 a.m. to get over there. By 7 you try. Because if it's 2 hours, I still build in an extra hour because something's bound to go wrong. You're hauling something. Or you'll forget something. Or something. You know what I mean? So you got all this time, and you go out, and at the end of the day, you may have, 3 or 4 minutes.
Right, total.
And you're loading back up.
Yeah.
Standing in the sun, you're melted all day, and you got to drive it back. And you don't just drive it back and pull it up and unload it, and walk away. It's another day of unpacking and looking the car over in between. And it's not, so it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
That's not me whining. And I could hear somebody saying, cry me a river. But there is something to also be said about throwing wheels in the car and just taking off on a whim.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the other cool side. So if you could do that, I think there's something to be said there. It's like, hey, whoa, I have time today or tomorrow. It's like, let's go to Toledo or let's go to pit race. Anywhere you go, you're racing against the best in the country, no matter what class you're in.
Yeah, true.
So it's a really good measure of where you are, I think. So
you mentioned you might forget something. So what's something that you tend to forget when you go to an event?
Ice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I try to get gassed up. I try to ice everything down. I try to, man, did I do that strap? I don't remember doing a strap. You just stop at the next rest area and you're checking everything.
Very smart.
Did I lock the toolboxes? Are the drawers open and slamming around with tools everywhere? Or, did I check the torque on the wheels for the trailer? Just that's the way my brain is when I'm driving. I'm like, why aren't you doing the checklist? Those are things. I've never forgot a helmet.
That's good.
So, it's just things.
Right. I just read it was on one of the groups on Facebook. I forget where it was, and a participant had posted, I forgot my trailer keys.
Ooh.
Does anyone know? No, I'm sorry. He forgot his car keys. It was a Miata. He forgot his car keys, and he was posting, does anyone know a workaround? And then he was trying to connect with locksmiths. The fourth locksmith he connected with was able to cut him a key.
Wow.
Based on the VIN or based on a number.
I can see that happening.
Can you imagine that?
No, I can. No, I can. Yeah. This is why working with somebody like, Scott, in the trailer, you open it up and there's colored keys.
Mm.
Everything's hanging in its spot, right? So that's another check, like you said, is like, are the Corvette keys there? It's like, yep, there they are. So you do have to put these things in place because sometimes time gets narrow and you hurry things, right?
Yep.
But you don't want to make those kind of mistakes, and it's easy to do.
What's the best advice, motorsports advice, someone has shared with you?
Oh, man. Don't press issues. So, like, if you're trying to work with somebody on tires, let's just say, if you feel like you're really having to press to get somewhere, I think it's time to back it down a little bit. In other words, if it's a money thing, if we look at racing in general, if we look at professional racing, there's a lot of money involved. And I've seen some, unfortunate things happen there where somebody maybe gets a steering wheel taken off the car and doesn't get it back till they write a check. These people were passionate and they put a lot on the line. I think if you're getting narrow on funds, if it's a stretch to get to that track so that you get into a car and you're uncomfortable for the wrong reasons, you're not supposed to be there. I think that's what I've learned in watching motorsports, and I've learned it being in motorsports. Is I feel like if you're just really pressing, for sponsorship dollars, man, I got to get to this event. I got to get to this event. I got to get to this event. You get to that event and it's not what it's supposed to be because it doesn't feel right, because it's not right.
Yeah. So
financially, maybe that's what it is. Make sure you have things in order.
Sure.
There's a lot of times this journey I went on with this Corvette, it was a stretch for me to do this stuff, but I did it. My wife's like, you have to finish this. You can't stop. This stuff's just falling in place. That's a little different, versus pressing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If someone were to approach you and say, Mike, I want to get into motorsports, I want to get into racing from a behind the wheel perspective, what advice would you offer them?
Start out in autocross. Get with some really good drivers in autocross. Do a full season. Even there at that level, if you want to be super competitive, you have to be squared away. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I've learned from these guys over at Steel Cities. Man, these guys are prepared. They know what they're doing. They've done their research. So I think if you can do that at that small level, you know what I mean? I think you can learn from those experiences, and you learn kind of at a lower level, what tech is.
Yeah.
It may seem crazy, but yeah, you have to get your car teched. Well, what does that mean? A lot of people don't know when they go out there. If you're
I know. I used to do tech for autocross.
Probably seen you there. May have forgot something. I don't know. But no, yeah. So I would say probably do a really high level. Even if you can write the checks, just go get a feel for it. Mm-hmm. While doing that, I would say do some track days, like open track days, like Wichin track days, for instance. You're going to be in with very experienced drivers. They're going to tell you where you are. And also I tell some, hey, thicken the skin. You're going to get told you're not doing a lot of things right.
Yeah.
So, you have to be prepared to go in and kind of really be beat down.
Check the ego at the gate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you learn that at autocross. I don't care if the guy's in a Miata, that same guy will chase you down at a track if you're in a GT4 if you don't know what you're doing. So I would say start small, get really, really organized, understand what that organization is, and you can simultaneously grow into a few track days and maybe some time trials. That way you get a really good feel for what's going on, but you're also going to be exposed to different platforms on cars. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the opportunities to jump in other cars that you maybe weren't even thinking about.
Yeah, folks listening that might not know this, people will say, do you want to drive my car? And you should always say yes.
Yes.
Unless you're super uncomfortable with, high horsepower or something like that. Being a newbie.
Yes.
But anytime someone, you want to be polite, no, not right now, maybe next event, just do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, it's also an honor when somebody offers you and that opportunity to drive the car.
Right.
That's a special opportunity. Yeah. Learn.
So earlier I asked what you love about the sport, and you had a couple of references to barbecue.
Yeah.
So, but I like what you told me, that, being at the track and being involved in motorsports and racing, there's a lot of senses that get touched.
Yeah.
Plus your emotions, your endorphins, all that other stuff. But let's go back to barbecue. So what track have you been to that had the best? Let's just go broadly and say food. Then let's dial it into barbecue.
Well, the food. Remember, I told you my dad.
Yeah.
And Gary, the Dead End Gang. Dad and Gary got really good at cooking. So they had the reputation. So everybody just kind of came down, migrated that way. And, they just shared the food, but it opens up conversations, no matter where you're at. There's two things that happen when you're autocrossing or racing: is the car starts conversation, and food, right?
Yep.
So really quickly at a young age, I had that food association with this crazy stuff that's happening on the other side of this fence. What's going on here?
Right.
But then, it's the food. So like the barbecue truck. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the one in pit race.
Oh yeah, begins with a B, doesn't it?
Man, they got good breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
They got good lunch. And you don't know how good you have it there, because that's just more stuff you don't have to unpack. It's more stuff you don't have to take. And it's really good food.
Yeah. And that's a pro tip right there. If there's concessions, support them, because they're supporting the track. And
Absolutely.
And it's one less thing you got to pack.
It is. And there's your protein, your energy, and everything else. And then Toledo, of all places. There's a food truck there, and that's the first time I've had a barbecue parfait.
Oh, really? What's that?
Oh, man, it's a hot mess of good. It's like a layer of cheese, let's just say, then like, I don't know, melted Mexican cheese, queso kind of,
Mm-hmm.
Barbecue, throw in some macaroni in there, and then just keep layering it. And the beautiful thing about that is, you eat out of a cup with a spoon and your hands don't get dirty.
That's genius.
And it's really good. And there's several different ways to order that. So that's two great places there that offer food that I'm remembering today now.
Yep.
The mouth's watering, and
I know. I'm getting hungry for lunch. Let's talk about tires for a minute. And if you could share some advice, and let's just talk to the track day folks for this. You roll up, it's probably 60 degrees in the morning, and then by the time you end, you could be in an 80, 90-degree day, running multiple sessions. What advice do you give folks, and assume they don't really know anything, about setting tire pressures, checking them throughout the day, and adjusting them? What should somebody be doing?
Depending on what you're doing, I always, and believe this or not, I always will start around placard, whatever the car is marked at, Yeah. Even if it's cold, if it's hot or whatever, and it's just getting that feeling down. And then pay attention to the tread wear. So it sounds complicated, but it is not. If you start, even if you don't have a way to measure temperature, you could still look at the wear on the tire to see what it's doing.
Sure.
And then that feedback, right? So is the car turning in too quick in the front? Is the rear, is it, oversteer, which is loose, or is it understeering? Are you pushing into turns and stuff? So you could start playing with pressures that way to change the balance of the car. Sounds complicated, but it's really very easy. It's really very easy. Just pay attention to the wear, and then where are you comfortable at in the car, and just play with pressures. So many people go down rabbit holes and start changing the car and this and that. Really, when you get to these points, your car should still feel pretty good. Even if you're a newbie, you drive it. Let's just say it's a stock car and you're running at a time trial or a SCCA, what is it, the evenings, whatever.
Oh, Track Night America.
Track Night America, yes, sorry. That's a car you're still familiar with, right? So you just start at those points, and then check your pressures, yes, after those runs to see what your gains are. And mental notes when you're driving, what's the car doing, right? And then you can kind of start playing with pressures. So.
Gotcha. Is there a good resource that someone can go to understand what to do when? You know, if this is happening, go down by 2 pounds. If this is happening, go up by 3 pounds.
Working for another manufacturer who shall not be named. They actually had a book for that.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you with tools that we have in our hand now with the phone, you can really learn a lot before you get to that track about that tire and about your car. So you can do some homework and know where you are, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So where's this all going to lead, the racing part of it? What's the ultimate goal for you?
I'm a little bit older. Nobody can see me, but I'm a gray bearded man now. But I still am inspired by, you know, there's some people still racing up into their 70s. I would still love to put something together to do a full season in a series. That I would still like to do that. Whether that, you know, I don't know what that looks like. You know, is that a high power car? Or is that low power? I think I would like to do a whole season.
Are you thinking like WRL, SRO, AER, that type of thing?
Yeah, SRO.
Okay.
IMSA's the daydream.
Sure.
I tossed around the idea of being pro some years back in that. It's just, remember what I was saying earlier about all this work you're putting in and that feeling, right? So if you're doing all this work and you're having to put together $300,000 or $1 million for a season, you know, try to frame that, right, in your mind. What does that look like? What does it look like? Everybody puts that thought process in, everything going perfect.
Right.
If you watch all the racing I watch, because when I'm not racing, I'm watching racing. I recorded the races that ran while I've been racing, and I watch it during the week. Rarely does everything go perfect.
Yeah, just ask Team Penske right now.
Right. And that's one example.
Yeah.
But, you know, cars are expensive now. A GT car, you know, cost you $900,000 to get a car. $9,000 per door. I mean, think about that. You're doing carbon brake change on the corner or around the cars, $12K. So you got to really wrap your head around where it is you want to be, I think. And I really like, at this point, this moment, this second, I like what Grid Life has going on.
Yeah, that's what the talk is.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been very fortunate to work with one of the racers there. Mike Kubiak races there too.
Right.
Matan Rosenberg. What a great, hard-working young man. But I ran across him, just helped him with some tire stuff. Our tire, the Nexen and Ferris Sport R is what it is. And went down and did some testing with him on my own time. I took time off to go down and help him at the track. But he was open. He wanted to listen. He listened. He applied it. And he won a championship. And that's
awesome.
Good feeling. But just talking with him and understanding what's happening in that, I'll call it a movement. It's kind of like taking the Steel Cities group right here and saying, hey, let's go race at all these big tracks. And oh, by the way, let's throw a concert in there, you know, and a car show and drifting.
Yeah.
So I think you can experience a lot of different things in a weekend there.
Yeah, it definitely is fun. I want to ask you, you know, you talked about Matan Rosenberg and that, and we use that as an example of helping somebody through the testing. What sort of feedback are you looking for from the driver? And then how are you processing that into changes with the tire, whether it be it be alignment setup, because that impacts it all, whether it be tire pressure. First off, what are you looking for from the driver? What's the best advice or what's the best feedback they can give you?
First off, I just kind of get to know him, believe it or not. So, and you only have a really narrow window for this opportunity. But, you know, you walk up, like in his case, he's earning it. You know, he's coaching and he's earning his time at the track to make his car better. So he has a lot of moving parts. Really smart. And I knew he was going to listen, you know, and that's the other thing is how much time do you want to give somebody, right? If somebody knows everything already, you know, what are we trying to accomplish today? But that driver feedback on what's going on, you know, like taking into account how long his races are, what are his peak pressures, what's he seeing. He has weight penalties too, so he's seeing some different things going on. And at the time I went down, he was seeing some pretty wild wear on one side of the car. So I was trying to figure out what was going on this side of this car. And once again, I simplify it. It's just pressures and temperatures. Go out, give me 3, 4, 5 laps. Drive it like you normally do. Start where the car is now. Run the pressures you're running. Of course, I check those. And then I want to see what the pressure gains are.
Yeah.
Once I run around that car, which I can do very quickly with this gauge, it'll show me all these gains. So it tells the story right here. And whether you're in the car, I get that feedback immediately. This is what I'm seeing right here. Let's do this change here and replicate what you just did. Give me 3, 4 laps. Okay. So you make a pressure change maybe. Mm-hmm. Drop some pressures. Out it goes. And then you want to hear the feedback again. What was the car doing? Where are we at? And that's when you can really start doing some work, is when somebody's really in tune with their car and they're listening.
Sure.
It's that art of listening.
Yeah.
It's lost. I didn't find it till later in life.
After all this, has anyone ever said, it's perfect, Mike?
No.
There's always a change, right?
Never perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sliding target. That's why like I said earlier, we're glutton for punishment. It's never perfect.
Conditions change throughout the day as well, through the event, even through the test session. So.
Yep, temperature, humidity, rain, cloud cover.
Other cars on track, chemicals on track, you name it, all kinds of things.
Yeah, and high deg tracks, medium deg tracks. That's what I learned jumping in between pit race and Mid-Ohio and then VIR. It's something like when you're running back to back to back to back like that, at that rate, it's like, well, okay, next time I'm at pit race, I'm going to do this a little differently because of the wear rate there. It's a little higher deg, and Mid-Ohio is newly paved, so it's kind of polish the tires more or less. And then VIR, we started with new tires there, and that was a really low deg track. It was a low mu surface. So you had to drive the car differently, drive those same tires differently, but it's just understanding what's going on around you. There's a lot of moving parts.
Is there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to? Something you wanted to share? Bit of advice?
I think if you want to grow, just even as a person, if you're in a pickle, let's just say a lot's going on in life, and you need to change, and I don't mean this to sound silly, but if you need to change gears, I really think just going to a local autocross and just getting out and meeting different people and expanding your, I don't know, coming out of the pandemic, everybody kind of withdrew, coming out of that pandemic, it's getting out around people and learning, and stretching yourself. So all this crazy journey I've been on has been a stretch. I'm older. I'm relearning things and learning more about myself. It's going to get you in good shape. Mm-hmm. I notice on weekends I'm going to drive, I'm hydrated really well. I'm eating really well, and then guess what? When I'm done, it's like the next week or two, I'm like eating junk food, and it's like, hey, what are you doing to yourself?
Right.
So it just gives you this added discipline, and it gives you maybe a sense of, I don't care what state of mind you're in, sometimes we all get lost, right? And it makes you focus just on one thing for a short amount of time, but that can impact your life in many different ways. And whether it's relationships with your kids, your wife, whoever.
Yeah.
I think it just you can knock down some barriers and learn a lot about yourself.
Absolutely. I have 2 more questions. One tire related. What's the biggest mistake you see with people and their tires at, whether it's an autocross event, race, track day?
A lot of people want to go really, really wide with wheels, stretch tires. I've never been a big fan of that. Data shows that it's not really great to do that.
Okay.
Wider. Everybody's going so wide with these cars now, and that's great. But as you do this, you're adding weight to each corner of this car. Mm-hmm. So, if you're running an 18 by 12 and a half, and I'm running an 18 by 11, my tires squared up. I'm going to get better wear. I'm going to have better tire life. I'm going to have a good time. And I think other people will be struggling.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Unsprung weight, in autocrossing, that's just quicker transitions through slaloms. The car sets up quicker. Everything's quicker.
With that less weight.
Yeah.
And then the final question, and thanks for that insight. The final question, have you ever been late to grid?
Yes.
All right. What's the story there?
I think I was going to Toledo. I made a call to somebody and I was like, look, I'm running late. No pun intended. Can I still make this? And it's like, yeah, sure. So as I'm unloading the car, the person, they came over and checked the car as I'm throwing my helmet and everything in. And guess what? I was one of the first groups out. So,
oh, sure.
Yeah. So that wasn't really fun. But again, you remember these relationships we talked about, when you go and you're calm to events and you help people around you and you can recognize when somebody's struggling. Fortunately, a lot of these people, I have this big list in front of me. I didn't name them all, but, they'd see me struggling and they just give me that time and just that moment, hey, get out of your head. You can do this, Sometimes it's from the least expecting person,
Oh, yeah.
But then remembering that and giving that back when you see somebody else struggling, just step out and help. And I think, when you run into this late to grid, somebody will remember you helping them.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll definitely remember you if you're a jerk.
Oh, for sure.
You're not going to make the field.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks for being here and sharing your motorsports journey. And I definitely want to keep tabs and keep in contact with you and maybe have you on again.
Man, that would be great. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, it's been great.